afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the very special edition of Khmer Times God's Talk. In my hand, I have the latest publication by Cambodian popular writer Ek Madra, also known as Ek Madra. And with us today, we have the writer here.
Hello.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yes. Mr. Aita is also a government spokesman. And yes, he's a very popular Cambodian writer in Cambodia, writing his book in English. And that's why today, although we are Cambodians, we try to speak in English because we want to reach global audience. So first question, sir. Can you tell us a little bit about your writing career?
Okay, I get involved with the writing career for more than 16 years, starting in 1994. Working alongside with American journalists and then with British journalists.
Okay. And can you please tell me when did you start writing books?
That was in 2011,
Okay.
after my graduation.
Okay. And here we have some books by you. Can you tell us briefly about them?
Yeah, this is the first book I wrote. It's about the factor contributing to Cambodia's civil war, all the way from 1950 to 1980, and with the subtitle Lesson Then and Now. This book is very interesting. It's purely historical facts, and along with my analysis, and it consists of the. You can see chapter by chapters. This is a part of my graduation ceremony that was in 2011. This book tells about what factor contributed to Cambodia's civil war. And the second book I wrote, this one, the first version is Fight the Enemy, Find Love. You can see this with the flowers. And it's about the Vietnamese army volunteer, the soldier who got lost in the jungle, and he fell in love with the daughter of the Khmer of the killing field. So this is 12 chapters, 12 sections. And this is the update one. The update one is the Fight the Enemy, Find Love. You can see the different, the cover, different color. This is flower, this is a palm tree, represent the Cambodian culture, Cambodian nature. This is a soldier walking under the palm tree. And that's the third one is about the long love, short light. This is quite thick. It's about involved with my personal anecdote, my family, Cambodia tradition, cultures, political historical facts, history, Cambodia then now. This covers in 1970 all the way to 2020. This is I wrote very complex, very detailed here. And the fourth book is still being processed at the printing house. The fourth book is called Memories of Politics, War, Love. So the fourth book will come out next month.
Okay, so you have a bunch of books here, but today we want to focus on your latest publication, the update version of Fight the Enemy, Find Love. Can you please tell us maybe a bit in depth about the book? What is it about? What is story, narration? What is it about?
I would like to go with very brief. The book is to show our love and compassion and true love that can contribute to end the conflict. This book, like everybody knows, that why did you say that fight the enemy, find love? Surviving people, by then led by some dictatorial Prime Minister Hun Sen in the late 1978, in early 1979. So this is talk about a Vietnamese army volunteer. His name I portrayed in character. His name is Nguyen Van Hong, who helped Cambodia to drive Khmer Rouge from power, who drive Pol Pot from the killing field from power in early 1979, in January 7, 1979. And he later got lost. This Vietnamese army volunteer, he later got lost in the jungle in 1988, 89, and then he fell in love with the daughter of the killing field. There's a lot of detail in here. I cannot brief you in 2 minutes.
Okay. So I read the book. It's a very good book. To me, it has a historical value to the Kingdom of Cambodia, as well as the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. Can Can you tell me what inspired you to write this book?
It's a very, very good question. Everything has a reason. The reason I write this book because I want to tell the world that apart from bad story, apart from bitter experience or bad memory, we also have good memory. The outside world know Cambodia is about Angkor Wat, the Mekong Delta, the Ho Chi Minh Trail, eastern part of Cambodia, linked from the south of Hanoi, north, east of Laos, all the way to east of Cambodia, and before ending in the Ho Chi Minh Trail to Saigon. I want to show the world that apart from the killing field, we also have true love. We also have compassion, love, as humanity. For example, this is what the reason I portrayed. I want to show people, all generation, that apart from the killing field in Cambodia, there also other story. It's about the love, about the solidarity, about the humanity, that people see each other rather enemy, but they see each other as a friend, as a human being. So there's no need to kill each other. So that's why in the story here, I put in 1 second is about spy the enemy spot low. So a Vietnamese soldier who get lost in the jungle. Initially, he wanted to fight Khmer Rouge from power. He wanted to drive Khmer Rouge from power. But when he got lost in the jungle, when he saw a Khmer Rouge daughter who was bathing in the waterfall, he could kill him. He could kill her, but there's no point to kill people. So he dropped his gun and he better make friendship and then later on love with her. This is I'm talking about very short about only love, compassion, and humanitarian would come up with a good heart humanitarian issue that could contribute to end the conflict. But before that, I would like to the global audience to understand. This only the first version. I only I'll put out only the 12 section only. I start with the home family. The outside world still do not understand much about Cambodia and Vietnam. Although after the French pull out in early 1950 from Cambodia in 1953, from Vietnam from 1954, right after Dien Bien Phu. So I portrait about the home family. This home family, this 18 years old Vietnamese young man, after he completed high school in 1978, he joined the factory produced a military uniform, right? So when he, chapter 1, he's talking about the home family. It's detail about his mother, who lived on the Mekong Delta, and his father, who served alongside with American soldier who during the Vietnam War from 1965 all the way to 1973, 74, 75, right? So his father died during a military surveillance that died during the helicopter crash on Mekong Delta in 1973. So section 1 is about the background, the history, personal episode of the home family. Section 2 is looking for volunteer. One day, Hong was working at the factory in South Vietnam. We then call Saigon, and then after the liberation on the 30th April 1975, is called Ho Chi Minh City. So at the time, Hong heard about looking for volunteer, and he also heard about Hanoi radio. They said, oh, there's Cambodia. Cambodia survivor fled Cambodia, then led by Mr. Hun Sen, who is now Cambodia Prime Minister. Fled along with other survivors. His 4 trusted men fled to Vietnam across the deadly jungle, across the Ho Chi Minh Trail to Vietnam, sought Vietnamese assistance to drive Khmer Rouge, drive Pol Pot killing field from power. That just like to give the brief. So he joined the army. That was in late 1978. And in early 1979, join alongside with our Cambodian army, support Cambodian army to drive Pol Pot Pol Pot from power. So in this chapter, you can see that he learned about the Cambodian children get killed, and section 4 is about before he joined the army, his mother persuaded Hong, you cannot go to join the fight because number one, Khmer Rouge kill anybody. Khmer Rouge kill anybody. You cannot even speak Khmer. How do you speak to work in Cambodia? So after his mother failed to persuade him not to join the army, then she has no choice. Her mother, named T, she make some sort of platinum necklace for his son, some sort of we call some sort of religious belief or superstitious belief that the spirit of his late dad could save him when he worked in Cambodia as a soldier. So when he fought all the way to across the border, the Wing Tay, the South Cambodia, his Hung, along with the 600 Vietnamese military, supported by alongside with Cambodian armed forces, he thought Khmer soldier was strong, but it was not. So he fought all the way from the South Cambodia to Phnom Penh and then up to the northwest Cambodia, where he was then sent in 1986. He was sent along with other two military spies in the dry season to spy on the Khmer Rouge. So that they could finish, they thought they could, when they got all the military intelligence gathering, they thought they could finish the Khmer sooner. But what he think is, what his commander sent home to the jungle, we call the deadly mission in here. So because Hung, he speaks some Khmer because he learned some from Cambodia Crown friend, and so he was trusted by his commander. In 1986, he was sent to the jungle to spy on the Khmer Rouge battlefield, so that he hoped to bring on military intelligence so that it could Cambodia military forces, the Vietnamese could how to defeat Khmer Rouge at the front line near the Thai border. Two other military intelligence returned back, but Hung did not because he got lost in the jungle. I wanted to give you some sort of how Hung did get lost. For the first week, he was fine. Second week, he started to get lost a little bit. And the third week, he got sick because he was bitten by malaria mosquito. He got malaria. His map he carried along with him did not will not exist on the Khmer Rouge area. He's also run of food. His noodle, his medicine also run off those food. So he desperately got lost in a deadly jungle. One day he walked. He was so thirsty. He heard a waterfall. He walked on the other side of the mountain, and she supposed to go to the waterfall, and he saw a beautiful young lady with the black brown skin was bathing in the waterfall, and he told himself if he want to kill that young lady, he just do it. But his heart told him not to do it because the way killing people will not bring any peace, will not contribute to end any conflict. So he decided to remove all his bullets from his magazine from the bullet from his gun, drop all the gun, and place on the path where the young ladies will, after bathing, walk home. So when he used binocular, it was so beautiful. He described, like in here, how the lady looked like. He looked on the right hand. She put on her ring, earring on the right, on the stack of the stone. On the left, the comb made of buffalo, and on the other side, through his binocular, he saw walkie-talkie. So Hong told himself that she must be from a very powerful family. She's not ordinary Cambodian. So that was how they start to make love.
And the encounter led to a friendship and then
Yeah.
love. Okay, okay. I, the way you describe, the setting, the scene, the historical events in the book, it's very realist. They are very realistic. Can you tell me how can you do that? Do you have any experience regarding these historical events?
That's partially, yes. As you know that during the Cambodia Civil War, uh, my family, my parents and I, we fled to live in South Vietnam as a refugee since 1971. So I spent my boy, my child, as a boy, as a young boy, I was in South Vietnam for 6 years.
Okay.
Um, I learned when I was in South Vietnam as a refugee, as a young boy, I listened to a lot of people. I remember what people talk. When we returned to Cambodia, and I believe it was in April 1979, we returned to Taka from the southern part of Vietnam, and I spent all my life in Cambodia. I complete high school in 1989, the same year that Vietnamese Army volunteer withdrawal pull out from Cambodia, and since then, I completed my high school in 1989. I started to explore my Cambodia world. I traveled by train to northwest Cambodia. So I spent about 4 years living in northwest Cambodia in Posat, in Battambang, mainly in Battambang province. I learned another part of story from the Khmer side. So I combined the two. I learned from different sources, information. I combine into this novel like a movie. I could make movie out of this book if we have financial and technical support. Um, and this is based on partial facts. Without the killing field, without the Prime Minister Hun Sen, then Mr. Hun Sen, he led the surviving Khmer's leader, surviving Cambodia to seek support from Vietnam. Without the killing field, without historical record, without Cambodia tradition and cultural aspect, then and now I cannot write this book. So basically, this book based on partial facts.
If I want to get this book, I want to buy this book, where can I get it and how much?
You can get it from the Monument Book in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. $15 a copy.
One thing that I really wonder, why you have two names here? You have Ekta and you have Ek Madra. Why you have two names here?
When I was born in 1971, as a young boy, I was given name by my parents as Aita, my given name. After in 1989, after I complete high school, I was a free young man, right? I like to travel. I like to take risks sometimes, explore to western part of Cambodia. Took the train, and because of the civil war, I like to hide my identity. So that they do not know where I'm coming from, which province I was born in, and so I changed my name to my first name to Madra. I still respect to my family name Ek. So I changed to Madra. So people say, well, they do not know where I'm coming from. So I spent more than 4 years living in northwest Cambodia. So when I went up working for the United Nations then in 1993 for what we call United Nations Traditional Authority in Cambodia for UNTRA, I haven't used my Ek Madra name, and I used my name till 16 years later as a journalist. So, but people know me when I was in the Gao. That's my given name was Aita. So because of Civil War, I changed my name for. So that I don't have to, so I just to hide my identity for survival only.
Finally, do you have any message for our audience, especially those who want to become writers like you?
Well, that's a very good question. First of all, being a writer for a certain story, for a certain book, for a certain country, you have to understand about the historical fact of a certain country. For example, if you want to write about Cambodia, you have to understand about historical fact of Cambodia, the country culture, Cambodia culture, tradition, and the personal anecdote or people, and you make a story like a movie, because a lot of people, Westerner and Asian, even the Cambodian itself, they write a lot of Cambodia, the same dry fact, history one after another stacked on the shelf of the books. sometimes it's become too much history. It's a dry fact over and over. I want to do something different. That's why I call Fight the Enemy, Find Love. I want to do something different based on based on partial facts. So make like a movie. This is that we call it fiction, right? A colorful fiction, the novel like this. That's to intrigue global audience. So my message to the young generation: please try to listen as much as possible. Try to read as much as you can, and try to take the inputs and get the feedback from the mass public. But much more important, you have to target your market. When you do things, you have to target who is your market. So although that's why initially I start within Khmer, but because we have process with design layout, the Khmer phone is moving around, so it is not easy. But we do in English, it's much easier. I start the global audience. So this is my message to them: please write, please keep writing. Just start the way you are. You don't have to be a very good writer. Start from step one. Start writing about your family, your culture, your tradition. We have so much to write about Cambodia. Cambodia is one of the famous places for not only for writer, novelists, journalists, movie. Cambodia, international movie, the film production use Cambodia, portray Cambodia history as one of the famous movie, like Tomb Raider. You got First They Killed My Father. All those start in Cambodia because Cambodia is one of the very complex and very interesting place to write and produce any kind of movie.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aita, for joining us today. The time has come. I really want to talk more, but the time is limited. Thank you very much for joining us today, for watching us today. Thank you and goodbye.